So here you are ready to begin starting the class by jumping into part one. Part one is comprised of experiences that will cover the first 2 weeks of class. And I just want to reiterate at this point that the overall course goal is to help facilitate the skills needed for you to be able to think more scientifically. And the first part of the class focuses almost exclusively on science and thinking scientifically and what that means. Now, you might be wondering why a research class is spending so much time up front addressing the idea of thinking scientifically and why the overall course goal is about thinking scientifically and not about something like, conducting your own research or being able to read research studies in a literate way. Well, one of the biggest reasons is because this course is foundational to the degree program that you're in right now. Now, you or nearly everyone in the class is enrolled in a Master's of Science degree in Curriculum and Instruction, or something similar. But you're earning a Master of Science degree, not a Master of Education degree, and not a Master of Arts degree, and not a Master of Arts and Education degree. It's a Master of Science degree. And what that speaks to is sort of the fundamental role that science plays within the foundation of everything that you should be learning about in your graduate program. So thinking scientifically is logically the most important sort of change that could happen to you as you continue through the master's experience and then emerge from it. So that's what this class really focuses on, because it's foundational. And I firmly believe that thinking more scientifically will make you a better educator. And I also think it'll help make you a better human being outside the classroom too. Because I think that being able to think scientifically helps make better sense of the world around us. And also, I have to say this, that in today's culture and society, I mean today, like right now, today, thinking scientifically does not seem to be a really tremendous value for everybody who claims this country as citizens. And so doing something about that is becoming more scientifically thoughtful yourself. So that's why this class is so important. Now, I do want to say something about the course book. So I'm sure you know by now that this class only has one assigned text that you had to purchase, and it's called Understanding How We Learn. And it is not a research book. It is a book about how research was used to help these authors sort of put together a simple picture of characteristics of human learning and what we can do as educators to help people learn. And every single thing that they communicate in this book is, it's all the result of good educational research. And I have to say, I absolutely I love this book. I love how the authors use illustrations. They call this a visual guide, and you'll learn early on in what you're in the assignments that the information is presented in an extremely well organized way and takes full advantage of the value and role that graphics can use to help make you better understand some of the important and not easy to understand concepts and ideas that are presented here. So you're going to be using this, you're going to be reading through this book throughout this semester, and you're going to be asked to do reflections on it. And I'll tell you specifically about how you're going to start this in just a moment. Another thing that you're going to be doing in this class is reflecting, or I should say processing, the course notes. And those notes are available in a single file that you can download. There are a lot of pages in it, so you may not want to print it out. But that file constitutes the information that I would communicate to you if this was a more traditional didactic face-to-face class. But I will be providing videos in every part of the class, but I will not be lecturing in those videos. I will be helping to set the stage for the experiences that you're going to have, during that part of the class. Now, before I go any further, I want to point out something in my writing, and I write this way in my notes, and I write this way on the website, and that is that I use the term I to refer to me when I'm writing to you. So I, in this sense, is I'm writing in the first person. Those are my thoughts that are being communicated. And whenever I say you, I'm actually talking to you individually. You, who's watching this video right now, you. Not the royal you, like the way some teachers use you as a replacement for everybody. No, it's you. It's I, me, and you. And that's how that's the best way to interact with the messages that are being presented. So, as you probably know by now, this course will be facilitated primarily through this course website. And so the messages that I present to you will be in text and images and also video. And again, I'm going to try to make that as personal as possible. And I will be describing in detail all of the things that you need to do in order to successfully accomplish everything for that part of the class. D2L will only be used for your grade book, so you'll be able to keep track of your progress in terms of grades. And it's also the place where you're going to be submitting nearly everything for the class, nearly every reflection and elaboration and projects. There's a couple of small things that I'm going to have you do outside of D2L, but you'll pick that up when I present that. So that's D2L. Everything else is going to be facilitated within this website. And the reason why I do that is because I've been teaching online for a long time, and the learning management systems like D2L have, as part of their structure, a lot of limitations when it comes to trying to communicate me personally to you individually, the learner in my class. And so I have found over the years that using a website like this, it helps to allow me to be as creative and as communicative as I really need to be within a structure that hopefully makes a lot of intuitive sense to you, since it's really basically like a general website. Okay, so without further ado, let's get started in part one by having me just briefly explain, both in writing on the page, but also you, the things that you're going to have to do for part one of the class. And as I mentioned, part one covers the next 2 weeks. You will notice that the assignments have due dates, and the due dates are on the calendar that are located in the syllabus, as well as online. And by the way, the online calendar is going to be more up to date, and things might change, and they probably will. So you have to be aware of that. So this week I'm going to assign four things for you to think about and reflect on. And those are going to be specifically some readings. One is a Reddit post that somebody made recently about the impact of technology in schools, and it communicates something that is becoming more popular right now, and that is to be skeptical of the technology resources that we put into schools, like over the last 20 years, and how they may not be as effective as perhaps the system was hoping that they would be. So you're going to read just a little blurb about that, and then look at the way people on Reddit replied to that story, and reflect on that. You're also going to read the first 2 chapters in part one of this book, and the chapters are very short. by the way. They probably won't take you more than 20 minutes to read each chapter. So you're going to read that and you're going to reflect on this, on those two. I'm going to have you, since this class focuses on scientific thinking, I'm actually going to have you look at a construct, scientific reasoning as a construct, and you'll learn more about that in the notes. And then I'm going to have you look at how that construct might be measured using an actual test of scientific reasoning that was developed and then used in research, instructional research. So it's fascinating, and you can certainly take the test if you want and see where you fall in the reasoning, in scientific reasoning. That's always kind of a fun thing to do. In addition to those reflections, I'm going to have you read through the notes, part one of the notes. The notes are organized by parts of this class. You're going to read through those notes, and you're going to respond to a series of questions or items that ask you to elaborate on those notes. And elaboration is actually something you're going to learn more about in this book. It's a very important thing that helps facilitate, learning, or like real learning. You're going to do that. And then finally, you're going to do a very small project for part one. And it involves you creating a shared folder online, either in Google Drive or OneDrive, your Radford OneDrive, or you could even use iCloud if that's what you're using. But you just have to make sure that the folder that you make for this class is shared, so shared for the public. And then you're going to, the first thing you're going to put in that folder is you're going to put in a profile of yourself, so I can learn a little more about you, and so can everybody if they want to look in your folder, because it's going to be public. And so, and I have all the directions for doing that, and I have all the questions you need to answer in your profile. And one of the reasons why I'm having you do this isn't just so that I can learn more about you at the beginning of class, which I really want to do, but also there are 2 group projects, small group projects, and before you start moaning, just know that these are small. And in the second group project, you're going to use AI to help your group interact with each other. So the hardest part of that project is just going to be finding a good time for you all to meet. So, but I'll present that later as the course develops. So that is what you have in store for part one of the class. I hope you get a lot out of part one, and I hope that it takes you one step closer to thinking more scientifically. And again, as always, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please do not hesitate to reach out to talk to me. So there you go. Have fun.